Hey y'all. How y'all doing? We are live on IG. Let me just I want to see something. Hmm. We are allowing some people to join us. And tonight is our community session with Black Girls Health Collective. So we're gonna just give people some time to jump in the room. And then we got some great topics to talk about this evening. We're not gonna keep you long. Um, but we're hoping to just take a moment of your time to really dive in. Welcome, welcome. And for the record, while we're waiting for individuals to join us, I am curious. I'm going to start with the question tonight. At least start with one question. And if you want to join in and hop on and have a dialogue with me, let me know in the chat. But we're going to start with the first question, which is how can we improve mental health in the Black community? How can we better support mental health in the Black community, specifically for Black women? Good evening. Good evening. That's the question for tonight. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Hey. So, before we jump into the question, I know I put the question out there. I want to just start by introducing myself. I am Ernestine Chambers. I am the CEO of Upscale, etc. And I am coming to you live for this Black Girl Health Collective community session from my car. I'm literally in my car. And just so you can get a quick insight, every single day as I transition from my busy schedule as an entrepreneur, and then I put on my hat as a mompreneur, and I just think about how I'm pulled in so many directions as a Black woman, I often find myself sitting in my car. So I wanted to go live tonight directly from my car because this is my couch. Like, this is my mental health studio. This is where I'm able to take 10, 20, 15 minutes to just disconnect from whatever I left behind and then walk into the house to show up as my best self. So the question tonight, and feel free to use the chat, and if you really feel adamant about it, let me know in the chat and we'll send you an invite to come and have a conversation with me. But the question today is, what can we do to bring awareness to mental health in the Black community, specifically for Black women? Thank y'all. I try. I see you look amazing. That makes me feel good. That's to support my mental health. That was your response. I appreciate it. I actually have on this really dope blouse. Um, I said dope, like I'm just so humble. But I have this really dope blouse because it was my grandma's shirt. And so this blouse had to be made in or purchased. I don't know when it was made, but it had to be purchased in the 60s. And it's just given like this retro. So my mom used to borrow it from my grandmom, and then now I get to have it. So come on, feel free to hit the chat. Let me know what can we do to bring awareness to mental health in the Black community, specifically for women. Whew, that was good. Normalizing taking medication. We gotta unpack that. Um, I guess you gotta get to the therapist to even get the medications, but um that is a good one. Normalizing taking medication. And then someone else came in and says relying on natural resources. Absolutely. Can you guys elaborate? Specifically, let's start with the normalizing taking medication. Um, Give me some of your thoughts around what do you think the stigmas are pertaining to taking medications? Um, Someone called my phone, guys. Slight interruption. So what do you think the stigmas are around taking medication specifically for mental health for Black women? What shows up for us, I should say? Um, and as you begin to type and respond to that, I think about how Black women are supposed to be super strong. Like there's a stigma on like the strong Black woman, and then if she's having a mental health challenge, she going crazy, you know. And so you get these stigmas added to it. And so for me, um, it's weird because I'm in a position where I have a lot of colleagues or friends who will take medication for mental health. They're seeing therapists, but then I have another group of individuals that are not. And so we're kind of stuck in the middle. And I think classism plays a part in that as well. Not just color, but as well as economic status. So that's good. What about so when we also talking about relying on natural resources as well, um relying on natural resources, so these are like your herbs and things like that, I'm assuming. But someone said medication help focus and stigma is you're crazy and trust God. So look, I said the same stigma, which is like you're crazy if you're taking medication. But let's unpack this. When it comes to mental health, it is very common in the Black community that you should just go pray about it. Not saying that praying about it is not the right way. Um, but prayer without work is dead. At least that's what I was taught. So there's still self work that needs to be done in addition to that prayer. And for some people, that pathway could be taking medications or being prescribed with their doctor. For others, it may be relying on natural resources. Um, so good stuff there. I'm curious to one. I'm really curious to just talk about. Ooh, somebody says so many people have been harmed by religion. Hmm. Well, let's talk about it. Look, this is a community session, y'all. So y'all control the narrative. I'm really just here to facilitate the conversation. Um, Dive deeper into this religion harm. They call it church hurt. You have a lot of people who are not living their true selves because of religion, or being feeling like they're overshadowed by it, or yeah, that's deep. Second guessing yourself, all types of things. So let's unpack that and those mental ramifications that come from it, right? Because I think when you think about, for me, when I think about my relationship with God, you're talking about on a spiritual level, and we have been trained or at least taught that that spiritual level is so much deeper, right? It's like this is your soul. And so then you have yourself, which is operating in this world, and your soul is attached to that self. And so oftentimes we don't live our true selves openly because of what our religions are, or what we have been told, or feel fear of damnation, I should say. Um, Cami said organized religion can be damaging, not spiritually speaking. I'm just gonna let that sit there for a second. So organized religion can be damaging. not spiritually speaking. Um, I pretty much agree with you, Cammy. I definitely think that there is um we actually was in a conversation. I was in a conversation with one of my cousins, who happens to be a lesbian, and her biggest thing is how individuals are not able to be them true selves because of the stigma that comes with religion, but it doesn't make you less lesbian, right? So, you know, if anything, you're just hiding, or being secretive, so you're not really living to the fullest. Churches are cliquey and compete with one another. Look, y'all, we going on a church rampage today on our community session. Um, and I agree. I think anywhere where humans are, you're gonna find flaws. Um, yeah, anywhere where humans are, I think that you're gonna find flaws, because the reality is like Cammie said in the notes, man-made concepts, right? So you have people leading people to do things. And I'm a mom, and I know some of you out there are moms, um and I talk to my kids all the time about identifying with other people's perception of what is right and what is wrong can lead you into a place of darkness, right? And the reality is people perceptions change 24/7. So you want me to allow the external world to help me make decisions when 10 years ago baggy pants was in, today skinny jeans are in. Like, they can't make up their mind on what's pretty or what's nice or what's attractive or what's righteous or not, because these people are constantly changing. So now let's shift into our second topic, or our second question, which is about self, right? So we talked about like just mental health and being able to, what are those stigmas that come with it, and you guys put out like the impacts of church and like having to go to God, and the cliche, or at least the stigmas with taking medication. You guys talked about like just having access to more herbal ways of taking care of your mental health, but your mental health comes down to self, right? So my next question, that I'm just going to pose to the community in our community session. I'll make a statement before I say the question. So my statement is, if you're interested in joining with me to just have a dialogue, for the community, please put a comment in the chat, and we will send you an invite and invite you in. But the next question I have is directly pertaining to the impacts of external forces on how we view ourselves as women, right? Um, and I just want to unpack that a little bit, and some of you give me some comments, and we already know that there's the imagery of what women are supposed to look like. It's been lots of research done to show like the impact on magazines as it pertains to the image of young girls. I remember as a Black woman, and I'm not going to tell you guys my age, you got to go follow me on social media and then do some math or something, because it's none of your business right now. But I remember at a time where if you had a wide nose, or if you had full lips, as we do as Black women, if you had wide hips or big heinies, as we do oftentimes as Black women, minus me because I didn't get that part, um, it was a stigma that we wasn't beautiful, right? And it's interesting for me because when I cut the TV on, or I go on Instagram, I go on social media, everyone are paying for these lips. They're paying for these booties. They're paying for these hips. And that is the new age image of beauty, the same thing that taught us not to love ourselves. And so let's talk about that. The image of self, externally and internally, and how do we protect that? If we got some women listening, how do we protect that? Okay, come on in, Cammie. Can you guys send Cammie an invite? Look, I see Cammie wants to join. It's about to get good, y'all. Somebody said, ma'am, man-made concepts. Okay, can I invite Cammy?
Hey, hey,
Oh, there you
good
go.
evening. Hello,
Hey,
good
Cammy.
evening. Hey, this is an awesome, awesome topic, and I am pleased that I am in the room to discuss it. Now, as far as images of beauty and how now, I'm going to say something that may be a little bit of, may be controversial, just slightly, because I think that what has happened with us as people of color is that the narrative of has always been spun because we're that fabulous and fantastic. So to knock that down or knock us off that peg, so to speak, we've been told that the images of our beauty wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same at the same time and in the same realm, they went into the lab to discover ways to imitate and emulate it, which is
Mm-hmm.
which I mean, the old adage says imitation is probably the highest form of flattery, correct?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So exactly, that's how we know that the images that we represent, that's how we know that we're just that fabulous. What I will say from a personal standpoint is that at some point I have a fuller nose. Used to despise that nose. And I wanted my nose to look like everybody else's little small nose, but however, that would make much sense on my everything on my face is pronounced. So it wouldn't make
Right.
much sense to have a smaller nose. It fits me and it works for me. So I got to the point where I embraced it. Everybody can't embrace it because that's an internal thing that you have to
Mm-hmm.
decide that
Mm-hmm.
is good enough and that's it. But I wanted to go back for a moment about man-made concepts and spiritual and church and the damage that can be done. Um, I think that when individuals don't understand the thing or are willing to understand the thing, they demean it and they come against it without taking the time to acknowledge or learn about it, so that they have a better understanding in order to embrace it or even just to understand it. So in
Mm-hmm.
turn, what happens is it becomes an attack on what is not understood, and then that's where the damage comes in. Having and I'm speaking from a personal standpoint. I'm a creative. Mine doesn't fit in a box.
Mm-hmm.
So because I don't fit in that box, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going
Right.
to do it from the creative standpoint. So if you don't understand the creative process, you're going to come against that because it's not structured in that box. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe being a person who believes in God and believes that if he is the creator of the universe and all the things, that we're going to put him in a little box. If he can create all of these things, we're going to put him in a box. That doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make any sense, and therefore that's where the damage comes into play because we got man-made concepts because people think too small and too low. They vibrate too low. So
Yeah,
it
so
comes.
so Cammy, let me ask you a question because I
Uh-huh.
think you're making a valid point, right?
Right.
And this is gonna sound crazy how I correlate this together,
Okay.
but so for instance, I do workforce training, right? And oftentimes I'll introduce a new technology or
Mm-hmm.
technological advance. And a lot of times individuals who are not as computer savvy or tech savvy, the first thing they say is it doesn't work, right? They don't say I don't understand it. That's not natural human response. They don't say I don't know how to work this because then that they would appear to be incompetent. So as opposed to being incompetent, the first thing people say is it doesn't fit. It doesn't work, right? When the
Right.
reality is if you just took the time to read the manual, right? To ask the questions,
Mm-hmm.
then you may realize that inclusion, adding this, eventually puts us in a position of advancement, right?
Right.
And so my question to you, it just made me think about it as you was talking, like, yeah, you are creative, and I don't, you talking about you out of the box. I don't think there is a box around you, right? And
Right.
so I just see open fields and skies, right? So my question is, for a person who doesn't have that will that you have,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's a lot of people who get into a hole because
Mm-hmm.
of the boxes that the world create. For that woman who may be listening, or the woman who's a friend of a woman who may be listening, what advice would you give her to persevere through the conditions of the little minds, as you say?
Okay, so what I would say is, first let's acknowledge and let's label what it is that you're experiencing where you think that you can't come out that box. And normally that is from a fearful standpoint. So it's really not so much that you're not capable or incapable of doing a thing, and that you're limited in your thinking, and you're not thinking as broadly as you possibly can to achieve the goal that you're aspiring to achieve. I think if you acknowledge it as fear and label it as fear, so if it's something that you're fearful of, how do you approach your fear? If there's something that you're fearful of, how do you overcome that fear? Once you can acknowledge what it actually is that's holding you back, then you need to come up with that formula to address that thing. Once you start to address that thing, then the sky is the limit. But you have to be able to, you can't just say, oh, I don't know how to do that. Oh, I see how you do that. How are you able to do that? Well, tell me what it is that you're experiencing and feeling in this moment. And let's address that. And then we can come up with a game plan for you to overcome that. Because everything is a hold, it's a hold. You're in a holding pattern. But we need to understand why you're there, or what's causing the holding pattern. I mean, it's not something that we got to delve in that's really deep. It's really not that deep. It could be something, an experience that blocked you, that caused the blockage. So let's figure out what the blockage is. My thing is this: it may work. Let's try it. It may not work, but what do we have? What do we have to lose? We really don't. The fact is, we're just gonna try it. Because I
Mhm.
was once one of those women that were like, I'm not gonna do it, because
Yeah.
I'm concerned about what somebody's going to say, how they're going to feel, what they're going to say about me. I No, it may come with age, it may come with maturity, but I think with the generations coming up, they don't care. They're
Yeah,
fearless.
and I love that. I love
They're
that.
fearless, and I love it.
I love that.
Absolutely love it.
I think that was always one of the things that people would kind of be scared of with me, is because I've never cared.
Right.
But I think that's rooted deeply in the fact that even from a very young age, I noticed that people are going to say something regardless.
Regardless.
So I could be the perfect person, the perfect student, the perfect child, the perfect daughter, the perfect everything, or what appears to be perfect, because I tell my kids all the time perfection doesn't exist.
Right.
And people will still find something wrong. You can be Rihanna at the Super Bowl with the best voice in the US, you know,
Mhm.
whatever, and people will still find something wrong. Okay?
And what I realize with the younger generation that's coming up, I'm the type of person that likes to glean from whoever. If I'm like, I can learn something from this child. You see
Mhm.
what I'm saying? I can learn something from this child, and I'm like, man, okay, let me take the concept that they're exuding in this moment, and I'm gonna try it for my age group. And what I find is that it's a spectacular outcome. My thing is just do it. Life is short. It's
Mhm.
no time to sit up there and wait. My thing is, be spontaneous and just jump in where you fit in. And even if you don't fit in, just jump in.
Yep.
Just jump in. And you'll either sink or you swim. But I bet you this much: if you're in there in that pond and you have to fight for it, you're gonna do whatever it takes. Even if you don't know how to swim, you won't sink.
Or even better, when you stand up, you realize it's only 3 feet and it's not as
That
scary
part.
as you thought it was.
Exactly. And you know what? My experience has been, and that it's only been 3 feet.
It's only been 3 feet. Unless
It's
you're
only
two
been
feet,
three
then that's
feet.
different. But
Then
you know, then it's different. Okay, I'm gonna
it's
come and
different.
save you. I'm gonna come and save you, but you be surprised who's in there who can swim, who's gonna not let you
Exactly.
drown.
Exactly. That. Hmm.
Um, so I think that's powerful. Like the idea of, look, just do it.
Just do it.
We
Just
say it
do
all
it.
the time. I think fear a lot of times. So I wanted to really talk about mental health tonight because you know we're in March. It's
Hmm.
National Women's Month.
Right.
right? And we oftentimes as women are just so on the go, taking care of everyone else, that we don't really stop and check in with where we're at mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, I think sometimes we could be literally depressed and don't even realize. We're like, oh, that's what that was. I thought it was just my cycle coming, you
Right.
know? Um, because we've been programmed to just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically black women.
Absolutely.
We're the only ones who don't get that level of grace, right? In any other race I've ever seen, they could just say it's been a really rough week for me, and they're like, oh, take some time off, you know.
Right. Right.
um but for us, we don't necessarily get that level of grace. So I wanted to just emphasize on mental health, but all of this is connected, right? the
Absolutely. All of it is absolutely connected.
um and then when you speak about the church, the boxes that people put you in, the ignorance that come from human beings, like all of those things are direct indicators or contributors to an unhappy person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I feel like sometimes, and we're still on the whole mental health vein. I feel like sometimes when it comes to church, and this is no disrespect to any type of organized house of worship or whatever, that's not what this is. But what I will say is sometimes by using fear mongering, it does cause people, because what I realize is that a lot of times people are sitting there already feeling condemned,
Hmm.
and they're doing the comparison kills kind of thing, because they're like, well, so and so over here's got it together, when they're all sitting there trying to figure it out. But nobody wants to let their, we used to say when we were younger, or the older generation used to say, your slip is showing. And
Uh-huh.
we don't want to let our slip show, because we don't want to appear that we're weaker than we are. My thing is, look, I get it from my daughter. I don't have the capacity. That lets you know I'm not superwoman. I don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
I'm at my level right now. And I
And
just don't.
but you know what, Cammy, I've always been a person who don't even wear the skirt. I'm just gonna wear the slip. Look at this, because here's the
I
thing.
love
You
that.
Because you know what people do? It's like we create a fear of our flaws, but we all have the flaws, right? That's why people in
Absolutely.
poor communities will say, I mean, I remember being young, and I had food stamps back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being ashamed to go to the store with food stamps, but the 17 people behind me in the line also had food stamps. Can you imagine if we would have pulled that together, how we could have fed the community? So it's the same thing. Like if you're willing to show your slip,
Right.
then you ever stop to think that maybe that spot or that stain on your right hip, the lady older than you has that same stain and can tell you how to clean
Yep.
it up?
Come on now. See, now you teaching, because that's exactly correct. That's exactly correct, because, and the thing about it is that I find that nobody wants to show that stain, because they're like, I'm gonna handle it. I'll figure it out on my own. Why? When you have a whole community there willing to tell you how to come through it.
Yep.
Because
And that's and
I'm gonna tell you, it's, I mean, there's some things, because we've gotten so far removed, and then we wonder why our mental health is what it is, or at an all-time high, because we're not willing to become naked.
exactly. Exact. And you know what? I think that's why. So it's so funny because everyone always say you need to go live more often. You need to go live more often. But I struggle with going live because I struggle with going fake. And so it's hard for me as a
Right.
human being to get on
Mm-hmm.
social media and say, "Oh, hey guys, all is well. Oh, upskill, etc." No. The
No.
the reality is I got kids in the house right now who want to eat. I'm trying to be live with you guys and stay focused, but I'm also thinking about a deliverable that I got done tonight. Three
Right.
clients are going to hit me. I don't even know if I took a shower today, right? How do you
Right.
say, did I? I got to,
Right.
you
Right.
have to be willing. Like, we're so used to, and it's going to get worse because we're in a society where people are more interested in what's not real,
Right.
right?
And
And we got to be able to be transparent about our challenges so that we can be transparent about our solutions.
but people don't want to be transparent. They want to be translucent.
Mm, that's what it
because
is.
because the transparency means that you're gonna see my slip and the spot and the stain. But translucent, there's gonna be a little bit of a cloudiness there where you won't see the real, the raw, and the ugly. And we that's what we rather do that. And so therefore we have all the issues that we're having because nobody's willing to say, girl, let me come over here. Let me help you out. Let me explain to you what's going on. Everything that you just said is real. That's everybody's existence right now. And the thing that I've noticed with the way the world is set up right now, the way life is lifing, is that everyone's on the same equal playing field. Ain't nobody out being excluded. So right now is the right time to for us to pull together and do what it is that we need to do to bring each other up and out of these spaces in which we are residing right now in this moment because we're all there. Every last one of us just trying to make it. What happened? Did I lose you? Hello? Can you hear me? Ernie?
Cammy, can you hear
There
me?
you go. Okay. Now I can hear you. I saw it. The level went up.
Okay, you can
Okay.
hear me.
There you go.
Hey, how you
Yep.
doing?
Hmm.
I see Cheryl. I can't hear you, Cammy, though.
Oh, okay. You
Maybe
can't
it's
hear me?
me.
Hold on.
Say something now.
Okay, can you hear me
Hey, y'all.
now?
So, if you guys
Can you
can
hear?
hear me, I can see your mouth moving. Let me
Can't hear.
just try. I'm gonna jump back in.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay, I
I
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you. Okay.
Yeah. Um. So, I love what you said. Like just like being translucent.
Mhm.
And I think that's the premises of Black Girl Health Collective, right?
Right.
For us to stop having these silo conversations and for us to come together as a community and just call a spade, right? It's time for us to really address the differences and the challenges and the issues that we face as women, as an entire collective, because you're not in a silo, you're not alone,
Right.
you're not the only one. And imagine how powerful we would be if we stood together, and not just for the sake of having conversation, but for the sake of evoking action,
Right.
right?
Right.
I mean, just going back to just traditional grassroots organizing,
Mhm.
we know that there are issues within our health system that puts us at a disadvantage
Right.
from the beginning.
Right.
And so through this type of conversation, through these type of dialogues, we get to not only bring awareness but also create a system of change.
Right.
So it's so much power in just a 30-minute, 35-minute live. That's all I'm saying.
Right, because I think that with Black Girl Health Collective, it is to get the awareness out, but also to help overcome that fear because the way things have been organized or set up for so long, there is a fear and an apprehension with women of color in spaces like this. But I feel like with Black Girl Health Collective, we're setting the atmosphere where they can open up, feel comfortable enough, and then be able to move and have action and momentum to do what needs to be done.
Got it.
So I think right now we're at that level right now, creating the atmosphere in which to proceed.
Yeah, so I do have one, I guess, last question, and Cammy, you can dive in. I'm also going to pose this to the ladies that are tuned in with us tonight. Tell us the type of conversations you would like us to talk about during these community sessions. We host them often. But we want to make sure that these conversations are exactly the topics that you want to hear. So tonight we talked about mental health and the impacts of that, particularly for Black women. But feel free to put in our chat or hop into our DM and tell us some topics or people that you would like to see on this live so we can lure them in. Like, matter of fact, when this live post or in our DM, tag the people who you feel like Black Girl Health Collective should invite to a conversation um, around health and the impacts of those with Black women um, in general. And I do want to be very clear that for Black Girl Health Collective, we're talking about Black women, trans, um, you know, all identifications when it comes to um, health and the challenges and the things that we face, and recognizing that for a cisgender woman versus a trans woman, or we're going to face different challenges. It's not going to be the same. But there are a lot of things that are the same, and we face similar challenges. So we want to be able to lift up everyone in this platform. So if you have any ideas, you have any comments, you have any suggestions, drop it in our chat, put it in our DM so that we can listen to what the community wants for the community sessions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And no topic should be off limits. Feel comfortable enough because like I said earlier, we are creating the atmosphere in which you for the ladies to share and get some answers because that's what this is not for this is not just for show. This is some work that is being put in because we're creating that space and to create that momentum, and that's what we want to
Mhm.
bring everybody in and help push this train because that's what we're about. Um, and remember, there's always topics with whatever the topic is regarding health, from sexuality, sex, mental health, whatever affects us during this human experience. That's what we want to talk about.
Mhm. Mhm.
However we're affected in any of those spaces, that's what we want to talk about. So if that's something that you can think of that you've experienced or even know someone that has like-mindedness regarding the healthcare, bring them in,
Yeah.
let's get this train going, let's get it
Yeah.
popping.
Cammy, tag me in on that sex conversation because I got a lot of things to say about the stigmas on sex and women.
let me
Okay.
let me tell you something. If you missed the last lace workshop, it
Oh,
was, oh my word. Oh my word. You think You think you got it going on like that. You
it's like that.
come
It's
on
like you
in.
you think you know, but you have no idea.
You have no idea. But yes, definitely, because the lace workshop, when is that coming up again? Lace workshop, it should be coming up. I don't have my glasses on. So if I'm squint, the 21st of March is the lace workshop.
21st of March, ladies.
21st of March. Log in right here. And remember, Black Girl Health Collective has a YouTube channel as well. So, those of you who are joining us for the first time tonight, go over to the YouTube channel and get caught up on all of these lives and
Yeah.
any Loom sessions that we've had. That way, you can be in tune with what's going on, what's moving, and what's shaking.
Yeah. Make sure you subscribe. Oh, look, let's do our social media.
Okay,
Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell,
hit the bell, hit the link
and
in the box.
follow.
Thanks. And don't forget to share.
Don't forget to share.
And also, midday resets are on Wednesdays. And I think we had our first midday reset yesterday, where
Mhm.
there was, because a lot of us sit at desk all day long. There was some yoga movement. There was some movement to move and get your body in tune and move. That was for like a 30-minute session. I don't know if you have time to do it, but it's something you can do right at your desk. But it's a reset. So log into that. That's all about health. We're getting some movement in and all the things, yoga movements, whatever.
Live.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, come on in, y'all, come on down. You're the next contestant. Come on, join this train. We trying to get a mission accomplished, and we need every person to help and get it going because we want us all to be at 100. We want our to be our better selves. Okay, well, I guess we are done for the evening. And we're going to say good night, goodbye, and have a wonderful night and week because I'm getting the side eye.
All right.